What is good? Welcome back to this episode of the Vanflip podcast, or welcome to this episode of the Vanflip podcast. If you haven't been here before, I have to change how I do these intros just for that reason. Today I am joined none other than the budding band Pupil Slicer, Kaite and Luke from the band Pupil Slicer, I should say. Welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad, very busy. We've got the album coming out in 2 days at the moment and we're recording, so lots of orders to pack, but
Yeah.
we're getting through it.
Good. Yeah. You guys have been making some waves in the last couple. You guys are a relatively new band in the grand scheme of things, only a handful of years, but you guys have been making some waves in the recent near future. Recent near past. You guys have been making a lot of waves recently. So, how's that been?
Yeah, it's been mad. I mean, we couldn't have really hoped for anything like that. So when we made the first album, we thought a couple of our mates would listen to it and ended up on lots of people's album of the year list. So it was like pretty crazy time. So we made another album and hopefully that does as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, past performance doesn't always guarantee future returns.
No,
I like
As
it.
they like to say.
Yeah, that's true. You also have, but you also definitely have released a few singles up to this point, and they seem to be going over quite well.
Yeah, we've got 3 of them out. We think they encapsulate sort of good taster palette of the kind of things on the album. Obviously, there's loads more stuff in the album that isn't really covered with those, but we thought it'd be funny to that was the main reason for the first single being the one that's least like the first album, is we were like, well, no one would expect that, so let's release that and then release the heaviest track as the second single, so any doubters can get set right with that.
Intentional swerve.
Intentional swerve, yeah.
So, how was the reception of the first one, and how were your feelings the night before releasing that? You know, because obviously you have it set to release at a certain date. So, what were the feelings?
Kind of scared about how I'd go down on Lambgoat, obviously, which is held in high regard by the band. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to get into that. This was a thing that Kate and Josh had before, I really knew what Lambgoat was, the palace of trolling.
Yeah,
as it's communicated in the band. So maybe Kate wants to kind of extrapolate on that more.
Well, hold on, time out before we jump in. I definitely want to get into that, but there's a couple other bases I want to cover before we get into that particular situation.
Sure.
Kate's relatively you're young, correct? I don't want to guesstimate your age, but it's mid-20s.
Yeah.
And Luke, how old are you?
I'm 52. No, I'm not. I'm 33.
Okay. Just curious because you have a well maintained lock of dreads, a lot of dreads that have taken many years probably. So I would have assumed you're a little older than Kate, but other than that,
I'm a bit older, 33, but I feel 43.
It's all good.
No, that's not true. I feel good.
I'll be the oldest on the podcast. I'll be 40 this year, so it's all good. I'll take the old man role. But
I always said that I'd just become, the bassist in Lamb of God. He's about 7 or 8 years older than the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's just still been doing it. I was I'll become that guy, and here I am. So
yeah, if all goes according to plan, you have another 10, 15, 20 years of doing this. Hopefully within this band.
My beard started going grey, as you can see on the low pixel camera.
Welcome to the club, man. I got a whole
nice.
Jon Stewart, the whole thing going on.
Nice.
The whole streak
Distinguished.
Yeah.
Distinguished.
Yeah. If we'll call it that. We might have to shave this beard off in a little bit if it keeps going. But so I bring that up to bring this up. You found heavy music, Kate, at a very I don't want to say later stage, but you were almost 20 years old, or you were almost in that out of school and everything like that. So you kind of fell into heavy music. I don't want to say later in the game, but you did. You later in life in your teen years. And then how long did you take before? I've heard my first heavy track. I love it. Boom, I'm in Pupil Slicer.
It was probably less than a year.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty fast turnaround. I got into metal around when I was about 18, second half of being 18, first year of uni. And the first heavy band that I listened to was actually Death Heaven. Probably won't go down with Lambgoat readers that well for that one.
And we cover them either way.
But, and then someone was like, "Oh, if you like that, check out Jane Doe by Converge." It's a bit of a curveball. I don't know why someone said that, but that was like the next thing. And then someone was like, "Well, listen to One of Us Is the Killer by Dillinger." And then those three bands are still my favourite bands.
Very much. Yeah.
Probably quite apparent in the music I write, but yeah, the first things I learned to play on guitar were like Deaf Heaven songs, because I was like, "Oh, this is sick," and I had like this shitty £15 guitar from like, I don't know what the American equivalent is, but
it's like $30-40.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Walmart, like a Walmart guitar for like $30. It was awful. And then I went to a friend's house at uni, and he had like an electric, like a Fender Squier Strat, and I tried it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is what it's like to play with action that's less than like 2 centimeters. This is amazing." So then when I got home from the first year of uni, I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go and invest all my money, spending £250, which isn't that much, on like on a Ibanez." I got that, and then I just started learning Death Heaven and Converge songs and Dillinger Escape Band songs, which is probably quite a deep end to start on. But,
yeah, I would say it's just a ease into playing guitar. You know, some people start with like Bob Marley chords. You're going like, fuck it, Jane Doe is a good.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a year after I started playing guitar that I was like, right, I'm gonna learn some chords now. So I was like, I'll just learn riffs. That'll be fine. But I mean, it sort of worked itself out. I had like a couple lessons near the start. I was like, right, if I want to actually play guitar, I should probably have some lessons to be like, so I don't fuck my hands up holding the guitar wrong or something. Which I was like doing the worst, like fucking clawing my hand around to do it. But I resolved those issues, and then sort of just figured out the rest by myself. And then I put up an ad on Join My Band, which is a website here, where I was like, I want to be in a band like Death Heaven, and I ended up joining a post-black metal band with Josh, our drummer, and then us and the bassist from that band were like, we've got some grindcore riffs, and then we ended up writing a whole grindcore EP, and then that bassist shortly left after, and then we found Luke on Join My Band as well, and he joined because we sounded like Carcass at the time, and he was promised low IQ, heavy gore grind riffs. But then I was like, "Oh, sick! You're good at bass, so let's play mathcore because that's what I really like." And then we wrote Mirrors after that, so it was a pretty short turnaround, and like, yeah, within a space of a year from picking up guitar, I started Pupil Slicer, and I think you can see that in the music, like competency. Like when we did that first EP, it was like the hardest thing I'd ever played on guitar, and I was like, "This is ridiculous! I can't do this."
But how long had you been playing guitar? How long had you been playing guitar up until that point, though? Because if it's the hardest thing, it was the hardest thing you ever played in guitar, but it was like 6 months into your quote-unquote journey. You know what I mean?
And it was like just opens and like bar chords, not bar chords, like power chords, and I was like, "This is horrible! I can't do this."
It's a lot of like 0, 3, 6,
4, 1, 4,
3, 4, 4, 3,
like
1,
the Holy
0,
Trinity,
3,
like the Holy
5,
Trinity
6.
or something like that. You know?
Yeah, that's all you need.
Then just move that bad boy half a step. Play it once more, move it to another string, play it once more, and hey, you're rocking.
You've got a whole like verse, bridge,
you got
chorus. Yeah, you're good to go.
You're doing it.
So yeah, then so I think my ethos for like learning guitar was like seeing Ben Weinman from Dillinger being like, I love writing stuff and then learning how to play it after, because then I'll be like, I've got this good riff, I should learn how to play it properly. So that was sort of my ethos for doing stuff, and I've just been pushing myself as a guitar player by like writing stuff I can't play, and then being like, fuck, I've got to learn this now. But I've managed so far. I've managed to fool everyone into thinking I can at least play guitar to sort of the competent level so far.
I've been trying to get Kate to like learn some Sinister Gates solos to improve the shred aspect of Kate's playing.
Oh yeah, I can't shred, I can't sweep or anything like that. All I can do is play in weird time signatures.
No, we just find my mates to do that and then bring them in the band to come and play.
Yeah,
that's the easiest part.
We've had the two live guitarists, and basically when I had the live guitarist, they could both shred. So I was like, right, I'm going to write a shredding solo, and then make them play it for me because I don't want to learn that.
So when you bring
that's
that in,
what we did on Blossom.
when you bring that into the practice space or to the idea room, so to speak, are you mouth riffing all these ideas? Like, I have a solo idea like that goes like willy, 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 and then they got
a good example. Like, go on, Kate, go on.
I sort of tab it all out. So
okay.
That I'll tab out like the general form of it. So I'll be like, I want it to shred, and on the beats hit these notes along the way, and then the slower parts of the solo. Between the shreds, I'll just write out completely. Now I'll just be like, can you join these up with like 16th notes? And then I'll get that back, and then I'll be like, I don't like those passing notes. Send it back again. And then
the passing notes matter, right?
The passing notes matter. You can't skimp on the passing notes.
So, what made you decide to pick up guitar? Were you like interested in music, or like, because you seemed like, whether you've learned it very quickly in a short span of time, which is possible, obviously, but a lot of people like that play guitar or whatever, not that a lot of people that play guitar, but a lot of the people that I talk to on this podcast don't know even like what an A chord is, or, you know, they play guitar very well. They just don't know the fundamentals and the basics of like what to call this or what to call that. They know where to just put their fingers or what it sounds like and where to put, you know, on the fretboard. They can mimic that sound, but it sounds like you're tabbing stuff out. So, like, do you have, like, a better mental knowledge of, like, music and theory?
We know theory and
stuff,
so
but, like, but you can't, but you're better at that than, like, playing it out. Like, you understand that part way better than playing it out.
So I did...
a lot of people don't know theory, too, you know? Surprise, surprise. A lot of people don't know theory. It just works out.
Hey, we know some scales. About 3.
Nice. That's all you need. Like you said, move it up and down the fretboard, switch it to a different string.
Just hit that Lydian shit. Ooh.
I studied violin from when I was like 7 years old till I was like 16.
Okay.
Just because my mum was like, "There's this fiddle orchestra, we should do something creative." I didn't really like it. It was all right, but it wasn't like scratching that itch. But I also had a really shitty like acoustic guitar my whole childhood that was so bad it made me not want to play it at all. I was like, this is awful. So until I got that electric guitar, then I got that and I was like, oh, this clicked. You just crank loads of distortion on it and then you can like write sick riffs. But then another point of reference was Def Heaven saying if the riff doesn't work without distortion, then it's probably not a great riff. So actually a lot of the stuff is written just me playing electric guitar acoustically and being like, sick, that's sick, and then you put all the effects on it after and it sounds even better.
Yeah.
But I'm getting less strict on that now because there are some riffs which like just don't work without distortion. But yeah, it's just finding those ways to like build up the repertoire. I think learning a lot of other artists' songs helps with like musical repertoire and being like, oh, there's these techniques, there's these chord shapes and stuff that are a bit more complicated. But yeah, I did do theory as well alongside.
Yeah, I would assume
violin when I was younger.
Yeah, if you're messing with the violin at a young age, you probably have a decent grasp on, you know, tablature and just music theory in general. Yeah, so that explains a lot.
I can't read sheet music on guitar. I can on violin. I can read on piano, but I can't on.
So when you're tabbing it out, are you tabbing it out in the program, or are you just kind of tabbing it out on like a notebook?
I'm tabbing it out in the program.
Okay.
I use Tux guitar.
Cheapo, man. Yeah, Guitar Pro's better.
But I don't know how to use it. So it's been a thing of, I'll learn how to use Guitar Pro at some point, and I've never gotten around to it. And I'm like, well, I've got this idea. I'm just going to keep using it.
It's very similar. It's very similar. The console's like the same. But I just wanted to say, Kate, like, you know that sentiment that you expressed about it being acoustic and like how if you can't play acoustically, then it's not really a good song. That's I remember that sentiment also being expressed by Paul Stanley regarding Kiss's material, and that's why they made Alive 3. So maybe we need to apply that to Slicer stuff. I don't know we could play any Mirrors songs acoustically. We maybe could play a couple on this one though.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Seems a bit more what's the proper word? Elevated. The material is elevated.
Like elevated
it's just not grindcore tracks though, right? So like
There's different aspects. There's a lot of different aspects coming in on this particular record. That's not just like musical, but like vocal stuff. There's different vocal stuff on there. There's different, like you guys said, when you released the first single, it was a little stray from the path of what you guys had previously put out. So you kind of show a little growth within that time period of that short period of between albums. So
yeah. Yeah, it wasn't a active decision to like move outside the box from the first album though. It was more people really liked the first album, and everything about it, which sort of lifted a lot of the fears around like, are people going to like us if we don't sound enough like Converge?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know people like Converge riffs, and I know people like Dillinger riffs. So as long as I write those, I'm alright. And then on this album, I was like, okay, I might try some Pupil Slicer riffs this time. So I think this album's a little bit more Pupil Slicer than
mature. It's a mature.
Sound, it's a bit more confident in itself. And we're not relying as heavily on influences. Obviously, no art's created in a void, so you're going to have all those influences still clear. And at the core of it, I still love Dillinger and Converge, so I'm going to write bumping riffs in 1916.
Yeah.
On the Dillinger thing, we should probably say that when we drove back from the tour that we just finished from Denmark, so we drove from Denmark to Calais, and that's about like an 18 or 20-hour drive. Our guitarist Alex, he took the wheel for a while, all insured and stuff.
Dropped the bombshell.
Yeah,
dropped the bombshell that he'd never heard Dillinger, and he's playing in a mathcore band.
Wow.
He had listened to Converge a bit though.
But how do you navigate it a little bit to not? I don't know how you would just. I mean, he's had to have heard of them, but just was like.
He's heard of them, just not listened.
I'll fucking leave that for.
So I was like, right, plugged in the aux, and we played the entire Dillinger discography back to front in one go.
Oh my god, that's a whole feat. That's a whole thing.
He loved it. He was like, "Oh, it just sounds like Pupil Slicer."
He's just like, yeah. He's like, yeah, this is good. You're like, you want another album, Alex? Yeah, this is good. It's like, got a couple more hours of me. Let's keep going. And it's just like, fucking hell, yeah. And like the other part to it was kind of that we were recounting, like our personal experiences with the music of it, and like kind of like also we saw them on this tour and like giving our personal like kind of things, because me and Kate have because I'm a bit older, I was kind of around a little bit more before, and then Kate kind of came into it when it was kind of when they're in the true latter days. But it's like, there's a big love for them in the band. Obviously,
there's a big love for them, and I think most of the scene, if you're like from my time for sure, they like everyone. Like
man.
I just saw Converge last weekend for the second time this year or something like that. So. That's a band I try to see whenever I can, wherever I can, and then Dillinger. If I could, I'd see him every day if I could, but that probably won't happen. It's been.
I did that at one point.
It's been a while.
On their last tour through the UK, I think I watched like 5 dates of it. Just travelled around the UK following.
Yeah, it was worth it if you could get on that farewell tour. Yeah, I thought about doing the New York shows. That would have been fun, but they came through here on their last tour, and I got to do some artist stuff with them, so that was kind of neat.
But, really?
Yeah, I was talking to Greg about Glassjaw's album at the time, and he was like, yeah, you'll probably get a Glassjaw album before another band, but it took 2 years for that Glassjaw album to come out, so I think he was wrong. But other than that, it is what it is. So what is your you go through the discography and like that whole 18-hour van ride. What's the consensus on the best Dillinger album?
Oh, okay. Well,
I think Alex
hit him with the line. I
can't remember the line.
The Miss Machine line. Your Miss Machine line.
Oh, my Miss Machine line. Well, in my opinion, Miss Machine's objectively the best Dillinger album, just because it did so much and changed so much for them. But it's not my favourite one. My favourite one's Option Paralysis.
Which is also mine.
I got into. But on the first listen, Alex's favourites were Calculating and One of Us. And I think since then he's been listening to them a lot, and he liked Ironworks and One of Us. But obviously the Mike Patton EP is just like untouchable. So
yeah, that's a like a what do you call that? It's like a variant. It's not even real. Like it's not even part of like the actual discography. Yeah. It's just a gem sitting up there.
Yeah, it's not pure canon. It's not pure canon.
It is something. It is and one of my favorite Dillinger songs.
Legends.
When good dogs do bad things, or when bad dogs do whatever. The dog one on there. That's my favorite. One of my favorite Dillinger songs. I will have to say I definitely got more into Dillinger during the Miss Machine time because I was around and I was in the scene at that time, so they'd already had like Running Board and 43% Burnt and all that stuff and the Mike Patton EP, but I had kind of fucked with the Mike Patton EP, and I may just not have been like a Dimitri guy, early on, but when Greg entered the band, that Miss Machine album, like you said, did so much for a lot of things, and it definitely wasn't like at first listen like, oh, this is awesome. It took many listens to get into that album, even though it was different than what the previous stuff is, but it was more palatable for some reason. But it also opened you up to like Dillinger too, and then you just followed them on their discography going forward, and they kind of interwoven themselves between Miss Machine and like earlier stuff. So it was really good.
I mean, interesting. It's like we've been getting comparisons saying like our new album Blossoms like our Miss Machine to Mirrors being calculating.
Nice.
And that is like the rawness is there in the first album, and then it's like crystallized into its final form.
You say we had a review. Is that actually just your opinion?
No, we've had reviews saying that.
That is legit.
Well, you'll have a review. You'll have a review on the have a review on Lambgoat coming up shortly here.
We can't wait for the comments.
Yeah,
gonna get absolutely flamed.
Well, since let's get into it. Let's get into it now. Yeah. We'll get back into it because I know I've been holding you guys off on talking about that, and we've recently run into some like issues with bands and comments and stuff like that, and that is something that we've dealt with not only for the time that I've taken over, but Lambgoat's dealt with it, for a long time. So, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say who I had these conversations with because there are people that aren't super happy about the comments. So I'll just leave the bands, off, band names off. But I had a conversation yesterday, literally, with a decently established band, and they kind of didn't want us to post about their band because of the comments. Now,
weak.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like personally, I thought that was weak too. And we do get our fair share of bands not being super stoked on comments for one reason or another, whether it's racism, homophobia, just fucking outright crazy shit that they say on the internet, right? So,
so we're definitely not in that camp. For us,
but see, what I said to the other person was, I was like, we have people that are in bands that use this as like a badge of honor for the most part. Some bands, smaller bands, love being posted about and getting roasted on Lambgoat. Some bands use those comments as like fodder or memes or like content to share to their audience. And then
we haven't done that yet. We certainly could though.
Yeah, you could. And there's definitely like a community about the commenting too. So like if you're new to Lambgoat, it does come off as like, holy shit, this is rough. But if you've been around Lambgoat, you kind of understand like, oh, this is just kind of what they do. They're like shitty comedians trying to make the worst jokes possible, and they fail 99% of the time. They're really bad comedians making really bad jokes.
We've had some. So the first time it happened, we were like, "Oh shit, this isn't very nice." The second time it happened, we were like, "Oh, this is how it goes on Lambgoat."
Here we go.
By the third article, we were like, "I can't wait for the Lambgoat article." It's the best part of every release is just seeing the most absurd things I've ever heard. Yeah. We've it's like a badge of honor. We've been called Biden Rock.
Oh yeah,
there's so many bad puns like that aren't even like they don't even make sense. Someone was like more like poo poo toucher.
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't Pupil Slicer be better? And then someone was like, pubic slider. And I was like, wouldn't pubic slicer make more sense as like a thing? Like, what does a pubic slider mean? And like,
just before we move on from it,
so good.
The Biden Rock thing is like now big in the band because it's like it's like, yeah, we're bottom rock, sure.
See, this is not going to be good because now the person that made that comment's going to be like, yes, fucking got it. And now I'm going to do it more.
On a shirt. No, but the thing is, but the other half is like, I'd rather be bottom rock than Trumpcore. So what about that? So what about that, my friend?
Well, now they're going to come Trumpcore on your comments now because you said you don't want it.
Bro, like, it's fine. Like, it's although it like we're talking about although we're talking about it humorously, like. Kate, we've received all sorts of things, and Kate personally, because of the band, and it's like, well, if that's the case, then it means that one of the impetuses behind what Kate writes about and why the band exists is needed and vital for that reason. So it's like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah, but also they're putting enough.
The
thing that I try to express too is like, if you're getting a paragraph comment on your article, and it could be like, wild, outlandish, possibly hurtful, whatever. God, the person had to expend so much time, not even just thinking about the comment, but then typing that whole thing out. It's like, you've won. Like, you've triggered that person, or you've caused that person a reaction. Right, exactly. So, it's one of those love-hate things on Lambgoat that we talk about, the comment section and stuff like that. And it is, it's one of the things we're going to keep around, obviously, because it is part of Lambgoat. But, we're not like sitting here like, hopefully. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people do. And the thing is, like, you guys are in a different, your band is different because you do have people in different, you know what I mean? You have, like, bands have people of color, bands have people of, trans people they're all different people. So you guys are one of those bands, so you tend to have a target on your back for our commenters, but a lot of the comments on your articles are good too, and a lot of them are talking about the music, and a lot of them are doing this, that, the other. They could also not comment, and then that would be such a bummer. You know what I mean? I think that would be the bigger bummer, because like you said, they're talking about you, they're thinking about you.
It's like a badge of honor as well, when like, because of the bar being so low for an average Lambgoat commenter, that when you get the mildest bit of praise, it's like, that guy fucking loves us. Like, we once had this isn't too bad, ... Yeah. And I was like,
that's a 10. Like, you got a 10.
That's a 10. That's a Lambgoat 10 right there.
but okay, so from me owning the brand and the website, I appreciate the way you.
You're
look
the
at
head
the
honcho.
Yeah,
you're the head honcho.
Yeah.
We are speaking to management right now.
Currently, I didn't create it. I didn't create it. I didn't start it. I just took over a year ago. But I'm sorry, Kate. What were you saying?
Okay, fine.
So you can finish.
I was just saying, all the comments are you under a different alias.
Yeah, I am anonymous.
Boosting your own site.
Yeah, I am anonymous. I gotta keep people coming back. You know what I mean? I gotta see what. I have no time whatsoever. I got all time in the world to spend fucking leaving weird comments on the website. But yeah, I mean, and to be all transparent and honest, I've also received probably more than in the last 3 years doing this podcast and being a part of the forum and being a part of the Lambgoat staff for that long. I've received my fair share of just people dogging shit and all over my life and my dead mom and fucking my ex-girlfriends from previous relationships.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Oh, it's all good. My mom's been dead for like 12 years, so it's not like a fresh new wound or anything like that, but they like to bring it up, and it's just one of those things where I'm like, fuck it. You're thinking about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So quite needless, really, isn't it?
Yes, but some people are sad individuals and they live on the computer in their mom's basement. And that's the thing. A lot of people need to realize that the people that are leaving comments, for the most part, especially if they are truly hurtful, you've already won. The person they're commenting on has already beat that, you know what I mean? Like, anyone hating on you or me, we've already won.
Yeah,
that's
I love the haters.
That's how I look at it. I want to get into the name because the name is also quite one of those things where a lot of people are drawn to one way or the other. I literally was just listening to the Hard Lore podcast. Are you guys familiar with that?
I think I know what you're about to say. Someone else
from...
mentioned it to me. But please continue.
The guy from
God's Hate and Twitching Tongues.
Harm's Way.
And, yeah, Bo from Harm's Way and Colin from Twitching Tongues and God's Hate and Dead Body and everything.
Yeah. Damn, those are good bands.
Yeah. It's a great podcast, too. It's becoming one of my ones I listen to on a regular basis. But they mentioned, Colin, he was almost like, the name is almost too jarring for me to listen to the music. But it is one of the, and that's the comment that he said. But I've also heard like how jarring the name is just with the visual, like saying it or reading it, then makes you think visually of slicing your pupil, and that's not something that like a paper cut. People fucking start cringing. Slicing your pupil is like your eyes start watering, your nose start. I mean, you feel it.
Yeah.
Art should affect you in all forms.
Yeah.
I'm a bit numb to it at this point. I just think it's funny.
Well, yeah, you would.
Because I forget how brutal the name is.
Right, but it is coming to people's eyes and ears for the first time in the last couple months. You're growing in fandom, and you're getting a better, more listeners, and so people are, hearing it hearing that name for the first time, being like,
I mean,
what the
with
fuck?
regards to people hearing the first name, what never gets old is like two scenarios. One is kind of when we're just about as a band, and then we either have to just do admin as a band, so maybe check into a hotel or go through tolls, and people are like, what your band called? And we're like, Pupil Slicer, and they go, yes, Pupil Slicer, like that, like that. Or the other one is just in work, and you go, what's your band called? And they go, Pupil Slicer, and they go, okay, I guess, do you play rock? Do you play rock music? And you're like, yeah, I play really hard rock.
Have you ever heard of Imagine Dragons?
Heavy
it's
metal.
Kind of like that. It's kind of like Imagine Dragons meets I'm trying to think of a big UK rock band, but I can't off the top of my head.
U2.
Royal Blood. That one's in my head right now because they just fucking flipped everybody off.
I actually watched that, and I was like, dude, come on, you probably got paid tons to do this. Just like,
were you there?
I mean, I'm like, it's
no, I wasn't. I wasn't
the
big weekender. Like, I did see the clip though, but
that's
there was
wild.
a big weekender with Jay-Z.
I mean, they're acting like they're Brendan from Counterparts, and it's like, you're in Royal Blood, mate. You're not in the
but he didn't do it in like but he didn't do it in like a call out way.
It was cheesy. It was kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it was just actually just someone complaining. Like hardcore bands do it in the kind of an emotive way, and when you do it, you're generally standing in front of a group of people doing it, and like, it's kind of, you're doing that more as hype. But they were just, that thing was just like, you guys, and then they walked off with their fingers up.
Yeah, I think I saw like
I was like, wow, okay, nice. Yeah.
I saw like the edited clip for like whatever. I think we posted it. It was like a minute or two long, but it cuts around. It cuts around, I guess, throughout the set. And the drummer's drinking like from tequila from the bottle. I'm like, this probably wasn't going to go well anyway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, we learned that lesson on drinking and performing a long time ago, before we even released the album, I think. The first time we got to play Boston Music Room in London, which is like 100 cap, and we were like, oh my god, we're going to be massive. We played 100 cap, opening a 5-band bill, and got really excited, and bought a bottle of JD between the three of us, and hammered it down like half an hour after our set, and then we went and bought another one. And I was so fucked. I was like, well, we've got to show the bigger bands our appreciation for letting us play this gig for them. And I was like moshing around and smashed my face into one of the monitors at the front of the stage. And like, I turned around and I was just covered in blood. And I've still got this massive scar, and I was rushed away.
The good thing is when you're drinking
got home
and you have alcohol, it's thinner blood. So thinner blood, so you bleed more, you look cooler.
Yeah, look way cool. And got rushed to hospital, got home at 4 a.m, and I was like, never doing that again. And since then, I just haven't drunk anything. So I had like a period that was within like a year of me starting drinking at uni as well. So it was like, had that lesson and then just stopped.
Sorry, we look.
Go
ahead, Luke.
No, I was going to say, me and Kate drink lager tops occasionally after practice.
A lager top.
A lager top being, for our American friend, basically like his beer with a bit of lemonade in. So what kind of granddads drink and stuff like that. You don't really want to drink beer, like full beer,
How much how much lemonade is in a beer for that?
Probably like a quarter.
Oh wow! And how does that taste?
Well, it's like
nice.
really, really refreshing. Do you know what shandy is?
Yeah, I would like a summer shandy, I guess. I don't drink a lot of those. I barely even drink these days, and if I do, it's like shitty American beer, like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light.
Speaking of which,
Bud Light,
I've got this.
We've been called that.
which is like Swedish beer that I got on the ferry. It's delicious.
Nice.
Cheers, Norland's Gold.
I'm just thinking like a lager top's probably exactly what Lambgoat commenters think we would drink.
Nah.
We just called Bud Light Core.
Bud Light Core, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Bud Light Core. Yeah, that's a good one. That's an interesting situation going on.
It was something like this band needs a deal with Bud Light, and I was like, that's a fantastic comment.
I feel like those, I feel like those comments though, especially like if anyone is like trans in a band, those are just like, those jokes are just so low hanging fruit. They're just like easy toss ups. Like you expect that. You expect it. What we need is well thought out, humorous commentary. That's basically it. Highbrow Lambgoat comments. No more lowbrow.
Highbrow.
It's time for a change.
It's also made Kate really strong with like a kind of impenetrable.
Well, that's the other thing about.
Unfortunate, but
you know what I mean.
Respect, Kate.
That is the thing about dealing with like haters and stuff like that. And I come from a different time, as Kate comes from a different time. Luke, you come from a different time, and also different parts of the world, right? So different things go on in societies on an everyday basis in different parts of the world. I was bullied in school, like in elementary school, middle school, high school, and all this stuff. Not constantly, but there are people that were bullied, that bullied me or picked on me or blah 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 or hated me for any reason whatsoever. And with a lot of people getting bullied these days, and there's a big push to like stop bullying. Part of me is like, damn, I did overcome all that bullying, and it made me sort of who I am today. So, whereas like the comments on the internet, that's why I can read comments on the internet and not like cry or like lose my shit or want to go into a hole or stop doing what I'm doing. So, my curiosity is how do you guys take this negative, quote unquote, bullying type energy as a band, or in personal life, or as a band?
Oh, it's a good question. I think, I don't know, I think it's one thing when we're getting attacked as a band as a whole, where I'm like, that's pretty funny, and less so when it's just attacking me existing as a person, and I'm like, what do you want me to do about that? Like, it's fun to say the band's Biden Corn should have a deal with Bud Light. But then it's another thing calling me a freak and that I should kill myself and stuff like that. That comes more from Facebook comments actually, on like ads. That's when you get like random people.
That's the craziest part. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Stuff into the void.
I don't want to interrupt you, but like I have, not to touch back on the comment thing that we were just talking about with Lambgoat, but in the conversations I have with other people about like, because we have open dialogue, so anyone that has any band that has an issue with the comments or what we're doing with the comments, feel free to reach out to me or Lambgoat. We will discuss it and blah blah blah. It's a full thing, so that's all full disclosure for anyone. However, when we do have those conversations, I'm like, you can check your local fucking Facebook, like the local news station on your Facebook, and all of our parents and grandparents and all the people that we know on Facebook that are fucking verified are out there saying the wildest shit with their fucking face and their full name right next to it.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I like, if they're doing that, they're definitely gonna do it anonymously, and it is what it is. But there's so much worse, I think, sometimes on Facebook, and they're accounted for. The people are accounted for.
Yeah.
So, continue on. Sorry.
I think I got to the end of the point there. It's just like, it's one thing with the band, another thing when it's personal. It's harder to deal with when it is personal, but I've sort of been just sort of getting over it and being like, well, you can't really do anything about it. You just got to be like, yeah, whatever, fuck these guys.
Exactly.
I don't understand why you've got so much time on your hands to go and be commenting this shit.
That's one thing. That's definitely one of the things.
But when it is about the band, it is quite entertaining, so I'll allow that.
Poo-poo toucher. That's a good one.
Poo-poo toucher. It doesn't even make sense. I don't understand.
I did kind of think like, okay, Lambgoat's asking us on, is this like a setup?
Never gonna be a setup, big dog. We like Lambgoat and the comments are separate. Like, obviously, like Lambgoat isn't the comments section. It's just part of the dichotomy that goes on.
No, you're a very nice person. I'm enjoying our conversation. It's just I was like, what's the catch?
You're not the only person. Yeah, and the thing is, you're not the only person to have thought that in the past.
Really?
Oh, no. I mean, like, we haven't gotten bands on that we've covered for, like, 20 years. You know what I mean? There's bands... And a lot of that has to do with the way that Lambgoat was previously run. Not in the way that it was run poorly. It just didn't have someone like me forward-facing. It was always Alex, the original owner, but not doing interviews, you know, online or... not doing interviews himself for the most part. He always would have like a writer do it or something like that. And so there was never any kind of like
separation.
Yeah, it was always like Lambgoats is just fucking like troll site, and all these trolls have taken like the inmates have overtaken the asylum or something like that. And so everybody clearly hates everybody. Like if you work at Lambgoat, there are bands that I've introduced myself to, bands that have like done really good things at Coachella recently, that I've introduced myself to that don't like us at all, you know, and like I'm a big fan of those bands, and it's just one of the things that, you know, we have to work towards as Lambgoat to rectify. You know what I mean? We're not trying to erase the comment option. We're not trying to change the history, but what we're trying to do is our idea is if we grow the website big enough, because what we care about is the underground music part and documenting the scene and documenting what's going on, positive and negative. It's all part of history, because Lambgoat has 23 years of history within its databases online. Yeah, that's a lot more than the other bigger websites out there. So we think that that's a big core thing for the historical aspect of like hardcore and metal. We're going to continue doing that.
I was going to say that's culturally significant. If you've got like over 20 years and a body of documents.
We've covered bands from their inception to their breakup, and they've done 20-year careers. You know, like Every Time I Die, or
I was going to say
you know. So when people like get bummed out about not wanting us to post about them, it's like it's so much bigger than you. It's so much bigger than the comments. It's so much bigger than your feelings, unfortunately, too. And that's, you know, I don't know. But also, I'm from Florida. I mean, we're like a free speech kind of thing, so like I have to navigate it very, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the coverage on Lambgoat is always really good. Like, it's just good journalism, and then you get the added bonus of, for some reason, out like completely unrelated to the article, you just get a comment section that's like that, and you're like, why? It's like it does feel like it's sort of like a culture, like
totally is.
If you saw the article in a vacuum, there's no reason to think that on this news website, like any other news website doing good journalism, that the comments would be like that. But it's like, because it's Lambgoat, this is how you comment.
Metal Sucks is kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Metal Sucks isn't as bad though. Like,
no, I mean, dude, it used to be pretty spicy. It's not as bad these days.
See, these are good things to hear there too, because like we get just shit on all the time. Like I talk to people like in the industry, bands in the industry that also have an issue with, like we've already said, and it's like I'm all for people not getting their feelings hurt and people feeling, you know, welcome and this, that, the other. But also sometimes it's like you can't take one of the comments.
Bro, they sound touchy.
A lot of people are, obviously, but there's other bands like you that are much stronger and thick-skinned that are, you know, hopefully pushing not only like whatever your message is forward, you know, like whatever you guys are bringing to the table lyrically and what you guys want to express as a band, but you're also like exposing it to where more people like your band can do the same thing. So it's only going to flood the market more, and then those people are going to get more and more perturbed as that goes on. But our thing is like touching back on growing the scene and growing everything is we can grow the audience that comes to Lambgoat, it will also somewhat kind of like not flush out the old, but it brings in a lot of new blood, which could possibly younger, you know, more progressive users or whatever could also do different comments.
The wokies.
Yeah.
Just got to get rid of those dudes in the 30s and their 40s with beards, to be honest.
The guys that look like you with their
you and me. We just can't get on Lambgoat anymore. We just stick to our porch and tell everyone to get off our lawn.
Yeah. Luke found these Ray-Bans on tour. They'd just been like lost somewhere, and we tried to hand them in, and like no one wanted them and stuff, so we kept them. And when he puts them on, he looks just like the profile pictures of like a guy in his truck with sunglasses
hates our
on,
band.
would be like, fuck cancel culture and all this woke bullshit because like their petrol went up by like 5 cents.
Oh hell, well, gas is a big thing here over in the States.
Get this Biden rock away from me. Get this Biden rock away from me. These liberals, they just stick the liberal agenda down my throat.
Yeah.
Wake up, sheeple.
I can't say that. I can't say
that.
I can't say that I also am a fan of cancel culture. I definitely would be like on the fence for a lot of topics, especially being a Florida man. You know, I do get
Florida man.
Yeah, I do get that whole like, you know, oh, you're from Florida, so it's the whole thing. But, you know, I'm definitely not a Trumper guy. I more so probably left-leaning than anything, but I'm pretty in the middle on a lot of things. But cancel culture I never really got into, even as some, I mean, there's definitely levels to it, right? Like R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and all these other things. But, you know, like, I don't know, man.
I can't believe they cancelled OJ.
They were late on that. But,
geez,
you know, like Tim Lambesis, that's one that's kind of like, it was always fuck Tim for a long time in my head, but now like I'm like, well, you know, he went to jail and it's been a long time. It's like, how long am I gonna like not listen to, you know, Frail Words Collapse or something like that? Now I'm not gonna go like hang out and see him and hang out with him, but like, would I listen to fucking Frail Word, you know, 94 hours or whatever? Maybe I'll do that.
Hey, check this, right? So a couple of when I went to go and see your boy Fred Durst in London a couple of like a month or so ago.
By the way, that's it's been so many years since I've seen him, probably like 6 years. So I'm jealous.
They're doing another big show in London in the summer, and maybe even one down in Margate in Kent where I live. So, but anyway, like, so we went to that show. We came back. There were some guys on the train that started talking to us on like, because I live in like a county near London, so, you know, we've got to get a regional train home and shit, and there's all the grungers sitting there, so you can see who's been to gigs and what. And I was like, oh, did you go and see Biscuit? And they didn't. They went to Enter Shikari, but on your similar thing to what you're talking about, going like, well, do you listen to this or that? This guy, like proper like Deep Kent kind of guy, just turned around and was like, listen, you know, I'm just listening to Lost Prophets. I don't care. It was wrong what was happened, but I'm listening to Lost Prophets. And to be honest, that's it. And like me and my missus were like, mate, we were like, no, we were talking just about music from the early 2000s and shit like that. And like my other half and me just turned around and was like, to be honest, mate, like, that's just fucked up. So why?
Yeah.
Like, he was like, mate, Last Train Home still a banger. And I was like, he's a dirty pedo, bro. Like, so.
No, I will say that I can't.
Maybe just don't listen to Lost Prophets. You know what I mean?
I want to comment on that because, like, I didn't really fuck with the Lost Prophets after that Shinobi Dragon album, right?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same as me. Yeah.
But now that that's all like, I haven't listened to that. I haven't listened to that album in a long time, even before all that came out. But when all that fucking weird shit with is it Ian? Is that his name?
Ian Watkins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Ian fucking had all that weird, crazy drama go on in his life that was off the wall, I was like, man, it brought all those songs back into my head, and I was like, I kind of want to listen to those again. But then the whole like other thing goes on. Like,
yeah,
dude, it was big news here in the UK.
It was big here, I think, too. Well, I mean, it should have been big there.
Big news in the UK. I was like, what the fuck?
And for those who don't know,
I've never actually listened to them, and I don't know what the drama is. So it's just very entertaining.
The drama is, I think him and his girlfriend were like meth heads doing like fucking pedo stuff with her kid. Am I wrong?
He was like using fans to molest their children.
Yeah,
maybe
like recording it. I think there was like some videos of it or something. It was fucking wild.
Maybe I won't do the deep dive on the discography then.
No. Last Train Home, like that whole album with Last Train Home, it was all garbage anyway. That inner.
Really feel sorry for the rest of the bands though, because obviously like that's like your life's work, just fucked basically. I think they started a new band. I don't know, but that's the thing, right? Anyway.
But who's heard of it?
Exactly. This is the point that I'm making. So it's like,
yeah. But who's heard of it? You can't say formally of. Lost. You can't even like bring that into the fold. You know what I mean?
X Lost Prophets. And then be like, wow, I want to check that out.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the best headline.
Yeah, I did go through a new metal stage where that was big. You know, the Inner Shinobi Dragon or whatever the fucking song was.
Shinobi versus Dragon Ninja.
Yeah, that is it.
That was big.
That was a banger back in the late 90s, early 2000s for sure. But nonetheless, dead to us all here on the show and everyone at Lambgoat. But
not the commenters.
No, they probably still listen to it. Yeah.
Or in Kent, apparently.
Yeah, the one guy on the train. He doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna let you know. Look.
He's gonna let you know. Look.
To be fair, like the same guy told me that he's seen, like, no offense to them, but like that he's seen Enter Shikari like 15 times, and that like Bullet from a Valentine were like the most metal band of all time. So he did have some hot takes on certain things to do.
You know what?
Typical Lost Prophet fan.
He kind of sounds just like a big UK homer. He just wants to support the UK bands. He just wants to get it out there. You know, he's a big homer, dude. It's all good.
Because my wife was like, "This guy, fuck this guy." I was like, "Dude, just, you know, it's just a thing."
He's in his head. Ian had one little slip up. It's no big deal. I could still listen to fucking Handsome Swing of Life.
Could have happened to anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe he watches this. He said he's going to come and see us at Download, actually. So I'll point him out to you, Kate.
Give him a shout out.
Oh man, that's coming up soon, right? That's coming up in a couple of weeks. This podcast will have already
next
won't come out
weekend.
there, but yeah, that's something that's one of the big UK festivals I definitely want to go to. Hellfest,
I think it's the biggest rock fest. Yeah.
Yeah, Download, Hellfest, and Outbreak are coming. Like those are the those are the Euro festivals that are like really on my radar right now. More for like the hardcore stuff, but there are a lot of the bigger metal festivals too that like obviously would be insane to go look at. But I'm not. I'm currently in my elder age. I'm more into like hardcore than I am metal.
There's a festival. Is it like called? There's that one in Belgium that's called like This Is Hardcore. That always looks quite good. And Hyper Fest.
They have a This Is Hardcore in Philadelphia here too. So.
Okay, yeah. So they have one in Europe too. It normally looks quite good.
Interesting.
So, need to get our agent to book us to play Wacken.
Wacken would be one that's on there. But again, you have to
shout
have
out
like
to our friends in Harriet who are playing it this year.
You gotta have like a whole week fucking to do all that, and a lot of time, and a lot of people to cover it all for sure, because that is an insane fucking big large event.
So much Euro metal, curry-versed, and good time.
What's the difference? Like, what's the big difference between Euro metal and American metal?
Everything, dude. Because like the Europeans obviously like with folk European culture, we have like classical music and like pagan stuff and various, like local cultures and stuff, and like the Europeans just love that and ABBA. Yeah. So like they combine all of these things with Iron Maiden, and that's like Euro metal. And it's just fucking brilliant, and like it's like.
How is it so big? How is it so big over there? Because like we don't have stuff like that. Like we don't have like American.
You don't like Hammerfall in America?
No, we don't got. We don't have like anybody. We have YouTube and like Instagram accounts that like play country metal or something like that, or like folk metal, but that no one's taking it seriously. But you guys have like entire genres like pirate metal, Viking metal, Celtic, fucking metal, like all this other types of fucking power metal offshoots.
Power metal's the best, dude. We met some guy from Greece who interviewed with us, and I was like, make sure that you tell like them I love the Hellenic power metal, and he did. So anyway, I don't know what the moral of that story was. I don't think we'll be making any power metal anytime soon. We'll probably make some street hardcore before we make some power metal, but who knows? Vocal layering could get out of hand.
Next album's entirely sounding like Speed, God's Hate, and Sengun Sugabog.
Yeah,
crossed with Manowar.
You're gonna be one of,
and Monomar.
You're gonna be you're gonna be one of those bands that just kind of transcends genres, like the Deftones, or over their 20-year plus career, they've just never really sounded the same. They've always made a different album.
Yeah, but on like Sabaton levels. The Sabaton plan. We'll get more tanks.
Yeah.
We'll find out when we write it, because at the moment it could be anything. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's not really boundaries on the music we're making. Like I said, like people seem to like everything on Mirrors, so then we went further and like, okay, we can just do what we want, and if we like a song, we'll put it on the album within reason. Like I wrote a song that sounds just like Black Dahlia Murder, and I'm like, it's good, but it doesn't really have anything Pupil Slicer about it. It's just a Black Dahlia Murder song. So within reason. As long as it fits the album, we'll put it out there if we like it and we've written it. So I guess it's good to have that constraint listed at this point, because we're a little bit more confident in ourselves. But I have been fucking a lot with God's Hate and Speed and Gel and Zulu.
Because it's good.
And
Hardcore is good.
Tsunami.
It's got a big upswing right now. Hardcore is like, because hardcore moshing has hit TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and people are now finding out that you kill people in the mosh pit, and the normal crowd is like, that is fucking wild. But it's also showing the normal crowd, like you'll get like a small percentage, like maybe 0.5% of the normal crowd will be like, oh, I fuck with that, what is that, and they'll fall down that rabbit hole again. And so we're getting like a big influx, a big
there
influx
seems
of
to
new
be
blood.
like a really big resurgence of just like traditional straight up hardcore stuff that just hasn't, like, I'm sure it's been going in the underground more, but like not to the point of like, you look at Outbreak's lineup in the UK, and you're like, every single one of these bands is a brand new sick hardcore band that, like, if you look up any of them, they got riffs for days, and it's like, where did they all come from? It's just happened.
Yeah,
and it's sick. I love to see it.
It's also coming from like Speed coming from Australia, and there's other bands that are like
as well. It's like all over the world as well.
Dude, so I actually won on Instagram tickets to go to like some festival that Speed were playing at in Australia, and I was like, all right guys, like, nice, that's really cool. I live in England.
Yeah.
And they were like, cool.
Do you want to sell the tickets or something, or what? How you going to pick these up?
They just never said anything. Hardcore bands are normally quite rude on social media, so I'm not really surprised, to be honest. I
found that they don't even like social media. A lot of hardcore bands don't have social media, and they don't like it. And it's the wildest thing because like you can't find like a lot of these bands you can't find. Like you just have to go to the band camp, and that's it. That's all you do.
They don't do interviews like us sellouts.
That's true.
Us Biden,
selling out big time.
rockers.
Gulch and Tsunami wouldn't be sitting here talking about
Gulch.
Biden rock.
Gulch just broke up. They were like,
I know.
But they
definitely wouldn't.
Well, I mean, but Sammy's doing big things with Drain, so he's the press guy with Drain.
Oh, that's true.
Big press guys there. They just hung out with Posty Malone yesterday.
Oh, sick.
I guess Post Malone came to the Drain show. Yeah, I don't know.
On the hardcore thing, like, as Kate said, like, potentially try and do some like of that vibe on the next Slicer album or whatever we release. But I'm pretty up for that because then I can just do like my straight up, street London hardcore vocals, and just show.
Which is just your voice, really.
Which is just my voice, basically, yeah. And then like the Americans will be like sick. And just
this
do
sounds
some of that
so genuine and from the streets.
It is. I'm going to see. I'm showing my age, obviously, but in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go and see Rancid.
Nice.
Which is great. I've never seen that before. I played some of them to Kate, and Kate was like, every Rancid song's like, oi, 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 I've got a friend.
Yeah. It's definitely oi punk.
And I was like, yeah, pretty much. That's how it goes.
Yeah. It's definitely like, but it's the American version of oi punk, I guess you could say, right?
But yeah, dude, like that's the cool thing. Like, and it's got bits of ska in there, obviously.
But I think his parents are from. I think his parents are from. Sort of out that way. I think he's I think he's got European parents, or I don't know. I could be fucking talking my ass. He was just on the Hard Lore
Danish
podcast
or something.
That might be it.
Great bass player. But anyway, go on. Was you wrapping up then?
I was going to with one last question.
Sorry,
no. You're good. You're good. We usually run it about an hour, and we're here now. So I know you guys got things to do, another beer to drink, and other riffs to.
I'm on beer too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish both of them.
I've got something waiting for me after this podcast, so by all means, I'm waiting and willing, or ready and willing. So you got a couple days before the new album comes out, and this podcast will come out in like a month's time. So, you guys can look back on this particular question after a month and be like, oh, we were wrong or we were right. So, what are the feelings that you have right now about releasing the full album coming out in a couple days' time? Like, is it nerves? Are you excited? What's the band's mindset?
I honestly have not even had time to comprehend thinking about that. Like, we just got off 3 weeks with Boris, then we came home, we played the show in London, and I'm packing 200 pre-orders to send out. So it's not really had time to think about it. So it's like, now that reviews are starting to pop up this week, it's sort of like, oh shit, people are hearing the album now. Like, I forgot that we did that, and like I haven't listened to the album in a bit. I listened to the album again. I was like, this album's sick. Like, at least with the first album, we sort of had a wait of like over a year of sitting on it before it came out. Whereas this is like, yeah, it got mastered like 6 months ago, so it's still really fresh. And when I listen to it, I'm like really proud of it, which is a good state to be in, to be doing interviews and like releasing it, because it means I'm as excited about it as I want other people to be.
Yeah.
It's a very honest, it's a very honest thing to say, Kate. You're breaking the fourth wall there.
Oh, people are going to think I'm not just the on-stage persona all the time. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited. Like, the reviews have been really positive, and I'm hoping a lot of people give it a chance. Like,
I heard it again. I heard it again this morning.
I think it's an album that's a good one to sit all the way through, because there's so much going on it. So I hope people do that instead of like listening to one track and being like, I don't like this, because there's so many different things on it. Because I definitely feel like with the first single, there was a lot of people who were like, this album's going to be shit because it's just grunge, 90s grunge now. And it's like, what? It's not. It's just, there's got an ebb and flow to it. So I hope people listen to the whole thing. And if they do, I hope they get it, because a lot of people seem to be liking it, and I want people to like it as much as I do. I'm very pleased with it, and I hope everyone enjoys it as much as the enjoyment I get out of it for having created it. And I also, what's the point of making music if you don't like the music? Like, I make music to be like, I love these bands, and I want to make music that sounds like what these bands haven't done, because I think it would sound cool. And then I do that, and then I go, sick, I've got my music, and it sounds good. That was a really long-winded way.
I was gonna say, Luke, your addition to
that. Was it how we're going to feel?
No, I mean, like, how do you feel now? How do you feel now about it?
How do you feel now?
Well, I mean, to be honest, like, we've had a bit of initial feedback from the quote-unquote industry, and most of it is like 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
But isn't that always going to be the thing? Isn't that always the case?
Not really.
No, you get like, this is shit?
Yeah. Yeah,
but they don't know. They don't fucking know what's going on, especially in this little industry.
But that's just external validation, right? So my actual opinion on it is like, for us as a band, and just for me as a player as well, like, and for it as a compositional unit and such, like, it is a big step forward, and it's exciting to get out there, and I think people are gonna dig it. I also wanted to comment on how Kate very sweetly said, "I hope they give the record a chance." Sort of like our album is like a foster puppy or something, or like a foster child. That
he's only bitten one baby.
Yeah,
you have to give him another chance.
A kernel in that, the
frosty
in your heart,
in your
frosty metal heart, to like put down the Frozen fucking Soul album because it's so sick for a second, and then like pick up just a chancing album like ours. We would have done very well, but yeah. Like,
give the Biden Rock a try. You might like it.
Hey, give Biden Rock a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't dismiss it.
Yeah, that might be a good one to end it on. Give Biden Rock a chance. That's gonna be
these wokies can't all be that bad. We might.
Deaf to false Trump call.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lovely time with you all. I know it's a little later over there, so I'll let you guys go here shortly.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, all the best of luck to you guys. You and Prosthetic. The new album, like I was saying earlier, I listened to it again a couple times this morning in full. So by all means, yeah, it's definitely worth a listen in full for sure.
You think it's alright?
Yeah.
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 I mean, it could use a little. I don't like dogs, I don't like puppies, so I don't want.
He's gonna ask the Lambgoat users.
No, it's I like things that give it I love things that touch back to the early 2000s, noisecore, mathcore, Dillinger, Norma Jean time frame. Because that's when I fell into it. So of course it's like nostalgia. And when we were talking about like everything seems to be coming back sometime, like you get these influences here or there, and in reality all these grand albums are having 20-year anniversaries, and cycles usually go like 20 years, so whether it's fashion or TV or fucking whatever. So I feel like we're having that kind of resurgence of just a secular cycle coming back around, but also more people. The internet is just finding more people, and it's just steamrolling and snowballing into a larger fucking problem. And hopefully Lambgoat is pushing everybody down that fucking rabbit hole.
History is, as someone who studied history is full of cycles. And that's kind of one of the main prisms that people, have analysed the annals of our time.
Annals of our time. Yep, that's true. Pupil Slicer on the Vanflip podcast. Blossom is already out. You've already been hearing it a bunch of times. You guys are playing. You guys got a busy summer lined up or fall lined up. What you got?
Yeah, we got.
Let's end it on that.
Two shows that download next week. That'll have already happened by this time. Then we're playing Mystic in Poland, which will also have already happened. Then we got Radar Fest in Manchester with like
Big up the prog fam.
Carbomb, Callous Boys.
Oh, Callous,
Periphery. Yeah. That's gonna be sick. And then we've got Arctangent Festival with like Converge and Devon Townsend,
Conjurer,
our boys. Health, also our boys.
How many of the butt plugs do you guys own?
Dune.
Do you guys own any of the?
I don't have any yet. I'm waiting for Johnny to give me his personal one after we see him.
No, we need to get one for our driver Dan.
We'll get one for our driver. He runs
Titan Touring. Check it out.
Nice.
Titan Touring.
And then after that, we have 10 dates in the UK with Employed to Serve at the end of the year. It's gonna be pretty sick.
Are you guys
Big up Church Road Records?
11.
Are you guys when are you guys making it out to this side of the pond?
Dude, hopefully this album, hopefully this is the vehicle that allows us to do that. But I think you guys just like upped your artist tax by like 40% or 50% or something.
Just
like
move over here.
Visa.
Move over here. It's a bigger audience, better stuff.
Bro, I ain't moving to Jacksonville. I'm staying in Kent, man.
You don't know what you're missing. Limp Bizkit was from here, guy. Okay.
Yeah, well, Bosca from Kent.
I don't know what that is.
They're an influential post rock band from the UK.
I only know Limp Bizkit, guy. I only have enough room for Limp Bizkit and maybe a couple Korn songs and a Stain, one Mud Shovel by Stain. That's it.
Or perhaps some.
Two Spine Shank songs. Two Spine Shank songs.
Some 3 Days Grace.
No 3 Days Grace. What was the other one you said, Kate? Sorry.
Power Man.
Oh yeah, Power Man. The Stars Revolt album. That whole album.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, Mudvayne is very special.
Mudvayne
Mudvayne has. Band.
They have two. I give them two songs, Dig and Death Blooms. But other than that, I'm good.
I mean, you put Death Blooms in there. That's generous. You have to because of just like the bass work. Anyway, we'll stop our new metal playlist.
We can't.
Which we do have. Actually, we made a new metal playlist. I think.
We have a new metal website. We got a new metal website.
We should share it with it at the end of this, Kate.
We can share it actually. You know what? I'm gonna stop this right now. And I'm going to talk to you guys off camera really quick, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
This happens frequently. This happens frequently all the time. It's just this particular conversation doesn't need to be fucking on the internet or for the audience.
No, that's
members.
fine. That's fine.
See you later, Lambgoat.
Yeah, with everything said and done.
Have a great day.
Pupil Slicer, Blossom, you've listened to it. Go listen to it. And maybe next year you'll see them in person.
And when you bring us back for the new metal clinic.
Yeah, well, soon.